Mr. Speaker, only one of us was a student politician, and he's never grown out of it. What is interesting about today, Mr. Speaker, what is interesting about today is in question one, he denied it was a deep recession, and in answer to question 3, he said it was a deep recession. I suppose with this Prime Minister that's progress. Now, in the same evidence, the Prime Minister talks about the global recession, and I want to ask him about that. In the same evidence to the Treasury Select Committee, he actually gave a definition of boom and bust. Let me read out what he said. He said, well, it will end when he admits that he didn't abolish it. That is when it'll end. What he said was this. What I mean, they probably wanted a definition. Here it is. What I meant by boom and bust is running a policy where you allow the economy to grow too fast and then it sinks far further than it has in other countries, even when there is a world downturn. Isn't that exactly what is happening right now? Yes, of course, there is a world downturn, but our economy is sinking further and faster than the rest. So even on his own definition, isn't it true he led us into boom and bust?
Mr. Speaker, America went into recession more than a year ago. The euro area went into recession more than 6 months ago. This is a deep world recession, and what I would explain to him is this, that past recessions in Britain have been caused by high inflation. They've been caused, as they were in the early 80s and the early 90s, by government allowing inflation to get out of control and interest rates having to rise. He should know he was in the Treasury in the early 90s. This recession is not caused by high inflation. If anything, inflation is going to be near zero this year. This recession is not caused by high interest rates. This recession is a result of a global financial crisis. If he does not recognise that, then he will not begin to be able to discuss or decide on the answers. And I suspect it's because he doesn't understand that the Conservative policy is doing nothing.
We've had all of his economic understanding, and it's what led us into the mess we're in now. The fact is, he let debt get out of control. He keeps saying this recession all came from America. It wasn't America that gave us the biggest budget deficit in the world. It wasn't America that made us the most indebted country in the world. It wasn't some American who designed our regulatory system that failed. It was him. Now, if he won't retract something stupid he said in the past, let me ask him about something crass and insensitive he said this week. He said that thousands of people losing their jobs, homes and businesses were simply down to the birth pangs of a new global order. Wouldn't anyone hearing that conclude that the Prime Minister cares more about his global grandstanding than other people's jobs?
Mr. Speaker, if the Conservative Party is not prepared to accept that this is a global recession that requires global action, then they will get nowhere. Our public debt is lower than that of America. It's lower than that of France. It's lower than that of Germany. It's lower than that of Japan. And he should not be going around the country saying the opposite of what is true. And at the same time, the measures we're taking to deal with this global recession are measures that other countries are now taking following us. The one thing that other countries are not doing is following the Conservative policy of doing nothing, which is not only the wrong thing, it is a disastrous course for this country.
I don't know where the Prime Minister gets his figures from. This year, he is going to be borrowing 8% of GDP. That is the same amount that a Labour Chancellor borrowed and ended up back at the IMF. Those are the figures, that is the truth. In the last 3 months alone, 4,000 businesses went bust, over 11,000 homes were repossessed, and almost 250,000 people lost their jobs. But the message from this Prime Minister seems to be, don't worry, you're just the birth pangs of a new global economic era. And today we're told the debt he's building up will take a generation to pay off. What we've had from this Prime Minister is denial about the past, continuing today, failure in the present, and debt for the future. Shouldn't those be the death throes of a failed premiership?
He is not winning this argument. This is a global recession.
Order, you won't shout anyone down in the chamber. It's wrong to do that. The Prime Minister, order, don't start defying the chair. Order.
This argument, because this is a global recession and not just a UK recession. And the answer, as the IFS has said today, and he quotes the IFS, is not to do nothing, but to take all the action that is necessary. And I see no one else round the world supporting his proposal to do nothing. Indeed, the shadow Chancellor has been giving interviews explaining what should be done. Does he support VAT? Yes, he did. Does he support the fiscal stimulus? Yes, he did. Does he support our policy of helping children without the married couples allowance? Yes, he did. Does he support European cooperation to deal with the downturn? Yes, he does. He has got at least the semblance of a policy. He would do absolutely nothing.